Hello, I'm Susan Murch, and I'm a chemist who studies plants. So I've been interested in chemistry since I was about 12 years old, and the first person who really inspired me to think about being a chemist was my grade 6 teacher. And my grade 6 teacher was awesome. He did all these experiments in class with like gas laws and shrinking and expanding balloons. And then he did something I really didn't like, and that was he assigned a book report. And I hated writing book reports. I just hated it. But the book he assigned me to read was a biography of a woman scientist named Marie Curie. And Marie Curie was one of the first women who really was a great role model for women chemists. She won 2 Nobel Prizes. She worked on radioisotopes. And at the same time, she was a wife and a mother and had a home. And it was kind of the first time I thought, okay, being a chemist is a job that you can have as well as having a life. And that really appealed to me because I wanted choice. So Marie Curie inspired me to become a chemist. So one of the important things about research is how we use research findings to make differences in people's lives. This is breadfruit. It's a tropical tree. It grows in the Pacific. One tree produces enough food to feed a family of 2 children and 2 adults for almost 70% of the nutrition they need in a year. And so by using our research findings to plant breadfruit trees, we have an impact that goes beyond the basic research. So the things that are important in research are 3. The basic scientific findings, the discoveries, the kinds of ways we use those discoveries to change the world, and then the students that we teach and the student engagement in research. So when I was a PhD student, the way that we understood that plants grow roots is controlled by a chemical called auxin. And auxin helps plants to grow roots. It helps plants to grow in general. It's used quite widely in plant propagation and agricultural systems. But I had some plants that didn't respond to auxin. The way it was supposed to happen just didn't work. So we started investigating other molecules, and we discovered that some plants produce melatonin and serotonin. In my brain and yours, melatonin and serotonin help us go to sleep and wake up. And what they do in plants, we don't really know. But maybe they control how plants perceive the world around them. How does a plant know if you touched it? How does a plant know if it got suddenly cold or hot? How does a plant know what's going on? And the only way that plants can perceive the world and understand what's going on in the world is by producing chemicals. So probably my most exciting finding are the chemicals that help plants understand the world around them. So one of the biggest challenges with chemistry that I find is when I get discouraged. And I think sometimes when it's hard, you can feel like maybe you're not meant to do it, or you're not good enough, or you just can't keep going. And so forcing myself to keep going even when it doesn't work is a hard thing for me. But I kind of learned this from high school. In high school, I really didn't like a couple of the science courses. I thought, I'm not meant to be a scientist. Maybe this isn't my path. So for a while, I tried to be a journalist. But it turns out that you find the path you're meant to take, and eventually it works out. You just have to keep going even when it's hard. If I was going to give advice to my younger self, it would be not to worry so much, to do the things that are fun, and not to take grades too seriously. I think when you're learning how to be a scientist, sometimes you think, oh, I got a bad mark on one midterm or one final, and that means I'm not as smart as everybody else. But sometimes bad grades happen, and they don't have anything at all to do with intelligence. They have a lot to do with how you're feeling that day. Did you have the flu? Or was something else going on in your life that means you weren't totally focused? So the advice that I give to almost every student who comes to talk to me about doing projects in my group is, first of all, very high grades do not mean you're smart, and the occasional poor grade does not mean that you're not smart.